Transparency is irrelevant if people don't understand it. It's a fantastic goal to be transparent, but if people don't understand or have the context to why you're being transparent, it's essentially the same result as not being transparent. As a CEO, you have a lot of jobs, but one of the core jobs is to protect focus. If you share something to encourage that focus, awesome. If you share something that intentionally causes focus to wander, shame on you. You need some type of benchmarker so you can measure yourself. It's no different than progress with the money gang or internally communicating sales party. You need to know as a benchmark, am I doing well or not? And if you can't answer that question, that's a problem.
The best organizations, the best ones, are so intentional at providing context and transparency that decisions made even on the fringes of the organization, you can have high confidence they'll be the right decision because everyone understands where you're going, why it matters.
I have to constantly remind myself, my job is not to be nice to everyone or have everyone love me. That is not the job. My job is to find the people who already believe in this mission that just don't know it yet. It's really different.
Have you ever encountered a situation where your transparency backfired?
I would say everything backfires all the time. It's like a personal mindset I have. The real question is,
Robert, so I remember how we met. It was through my co-founder, Blake, obviously, who I love, and you're very close friend.
Yeah.
It his wife, Leah.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty hard kind. And I was trying to figure out some fundraising stuff. You had just had a carpet thermies around. And I remember you came over and he's at my house. It was late, right? Serve this?
Yes.
And you did serve. I don't think that be. And you just laid it straight. And so I want to talk today about the theme of this pod, which is a topic that scares a lot of leaders, just transparency. And, I think when I talk about transparency, it's not like the kumbaya kind. It's not like the put a value on the wall kind. It's talking about radical, operational, real-time transparency, the kind that builds alignment, it boosts performance. And I think it makes companies a place where people actually trust each other. To break it down, I think there's no one better than you, man. You're the CEO of Monograph, which is obviously a SaaS startup built for architects. And you have done some really radical stuff on transparency. You beat a drum about this. Salary bands, open dashboards, publishing industry-wide benchmarks, all in the name of clarity. And there's this, this study in 2020 done in Nature Human Behavior, which found that when you introduce this example of salary transparency without structured context, it can decrease morale performance.
I believe that.
But when paired with leveling rubrics of open communication, it leads not only to higher trust and stronger collaboration, but even 20% higher retention.
Right.
So I think the punchline is transparency is critical. Well, there's a way to do it, and I want to cover this today.
Let's do it.
Okay, hell yeah, man. Awesome. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Love it.
Okay. So let's talk about this is your brand. In my opinion, you are known around the valley for you say exactly what you think. It's a trippy subject because some people can find that being overly blunt, and some people like me find transparency as an ultimate form of kindness because it provides security. So let's talk about what is transparency to you?
Look, I can also just give you very selfishly, if I'm not transparent, I have to hold it all in.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of things already to hold on to, and I don't want to hold on to more hard. You understood? Yeah. I actually think it's really physically and mentally unhealthy to hold on to too many things. There are a lot of side effects, and you mentioned a lot of them in terms of being transparent. It's good for the business, but I think just good for me is I don't want to carry that weight.
Totally.
Building business is incredibly hard. I would love to share that weight with as many people that's on my mission as possible. Yeah. And I can't share that weight if I don't talk about it. Which means I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
And yes, it can be interpreted as being blunt, and yes, it can be interpreted in a negative way. And I still believe it's still net positive. Yes. Because the people who think it's not good is probably the people that might not fit into Monograph's culture. And that's okay. We're not supposed to be a fit for everyone. My job, I have to constantly remind myself, my job is not to be nice to everyone or have everyone love me. That is not the job. My job is to find the people who already believe in this mission that just don't know it yet.
That's great.
It's really different.
That is different. That's very different. Well, and I think, I remember I was in this board meeting and we had a number that presented, and the board member teaching said, "Oh, like, kids, remember which numbers you're telling us you're going to hit." Because we, like I think a lot of startups, we had a board-facing plan, we have an internal plan, and there's a gap there.
Oh yeah, the subplot, because I don't.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because
The
the downside, it's really freaking hard to maintain those things.
well, as a CEO, and you know this, you have to manage 2 plans.
You just manage two freaking plans.
Right? You have a group of audience that knows one plan, and you have another group of audience that knows another plan.
Yes.
And then you're also trying to manage the gap. So there's 3 things you got to manage.
Yeah.
Manage 2 plans and the gap between the plans.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Liars, you just manage 1 plan.
So you know what? We actually switched. We only have one plan down.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things also where when you're not transparency, I want to call it lying when you aren't fully transparent, because there's versions of that.
Yeah.
But it loads you up with cognitive load, because now you have to remember different things or to manage it. And if by the way, in a board meeting, you refer to some goal and you refer to the wrong one, now they know, and now you actually eroded trust.
Yeah, because why would you share a different number?
Idea what's going on here, what's really happening.
You actually inspire more questions.
Yeah, totally. And there's a bunch of studies, but there's actually an HBS study about this that I thought was really interesting, that showed organizations with full financial transparency. So like, what is MRR? What is runway? What are salaries? There's levels of this. Saw 14% better employee performance and 2x greater leadership trust scores. And by the way, it was only held if they did it consistently, like repeatedly. So let's think about Monograph, the awesome company you are today. What is it like? What is your transparency playbook? What does it look like there?
Revenue is always transparent. And everyone needs to understand, yes, we have a mission. Yes, we have the vision, but we also are a business. And the reality is, if the business improves, the business grows. And that's a win for everyone.
That's right.
And the only way to measure if a business is improving is by revenue. Like, we're not based on likes or engagements. We're just not that type of business. Like, we're asking, it's like, hey, like, we want to grow revenue, and revenue has a correlation to the size of the business and success. Yeah. So that is shared weekly on an ARR basis, and it will be balanced revenue with a customer metric, total customer count, shared weekly. So we want to increase customers. We want to increase revenue. We have a goal of every month. We set that goal, and then we just draw a straight 45-degree line, and every week, how much do we measure against that goal? And then everyone knows, because as long as we stick to that 45-degree, we're on pace.
Yeah.
So the next thing you got to do is communicate, are you on pace? Both verbally, written, and then visually. Because like everyone learns slightly different, and we still need to be able to hit you all three.
Wow. So sorry, so once I just want to say that, or people are Gary, which is, so not only do you focus on being transparent regularly in general, but then you triple down and you focus on providing that transparency in all 3 learning modalities of your audience, visually, written, and verbal.
But transparency is irrelevant if people don't understand it. But and so it's okay. It's a fantastic goal to be transparent. But if people don't understand or have the context to why you're being transparent, it's essentially the same result as not being transparent.
Totally.
Right? Because they don't understand what.
Such a clear point.
So you just got to hit home.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to say verbally, we're on pace. Right. It's another thing to say written on the slide, we're on pace. It's another thing where you say every month we start at 0. Every month we have a goal. We draw a straight line, and then we just fill in the bar chart 4 weeks out of that month, and are we measuring up that line? If we're touching the line, we're on pace. If we're exceeding the line, we're exceeding pace. If we're below the line, I'm sorry, we're not on pace, right? Well, that's some really easy visual cue of just like communicating. If you do not understand what I'm saying, if you're not reading the slide, the written text, you at least see the graphic. And you still don't understand all 3 modalities, I don't think there's a known modality that exists. So
And will them to understand
osmosis kind of out of options in terms of like communication style.
So here's a question, man. Why do you think so many leaders would be scared to do that, to put that slide out, to make it to go to such painstaking effort to share exactly a better high?
Because you set the bar too high and you're always missing it. As founders, as entrepreneurs, we strive for massive goals.
We're always pushing.
Yeah, we're always pushing. So like the goalpost is always large.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying to communicate to the team that we're missing. And then next week, we're missing. And then next week, we're missing. Then next quarter, we're missing. Then the entire year, we've missed.
Right.
How do you build a culture around understanding that it's okay to miss? And the entire objective is to set the goalpost high. And that should be celebrating the wins that we never imagined we could win. That is actually a much harder exercise than being transparent. Because if that is not rooted in the right place, you essentially erode morale very quickly.
Yeah, because if you're not winning,
You might be
winning, but winning is not there.
you're accruing trust, but you're eroding morale, which is unfortunately when building business is very bad. Almost second to bad. Like if you're eroding trust and eroding morale, that's terrible. If you're eroding just one, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
Really, you want to be building morale and building trust every single week. And transparency is only a mechanism for achieving it.
I would take it further and say, if you aren't transparent, it's going to probably erode trust. And as a result, it'll erode morale.
Correct.
I think it's impossible to degrade morale and degrade to not degrade morale, not degrade trust. Like it's kind of a one-on-one.
You need to do trust first.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You need to do that first. Because no, I know, weight it the same.
There's no foundation. Yeah. Okay.
But if you do all trust and no morale, that's bad.
It reminds me actually of this Blake and I, my co-founder, Boop, we had this epiphany where there's been times where things are hard and we said, maybe we shouldn't share this with the team because it feels like a duper. They can't all really influence this metric. So is it fair to tell them what's going on? Because it's going to burn it out. And so we wouldn't talk about things. And sometimes it's all, but sometimes it just get worse and worse and worse until you have pick up claim. Worse, yeah. Versus anytime we've done the opposite, where it's like, hey team, here is an issue. No, we need everyone's help solving it. One thing has happened every single time.
Everyone rallies.
We solve the freaking issue.
Yeah.
Everyone rallies. And it's like, I asked a friend recently, what's the one piece of advice you would have given to yourself early in your career as an entrepreneur? And he said, I would tell myself to ask for help loudly and often and as early as you possibly intermediate with your investors. They every way.
Yeah.
Don't hide the columns.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. It's scary. It is very scary. I think it's important sometimes if you know that the team cannot have a huge influence on it, you can just say that. Why not? I've said it many times. It's like, hey, this is a really, really massive problem. Unfortunately, I'm the only one that can solve it. Hey, I just need
Put the spotlight on yourself. Here's your problem. I gotta solve it.
Yeah, I'm the founder. This is a problem.
What's the example of that?
Fundraising. Yeah. Look, I love my team, but even my limited team, you can't help me on fundraising.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you can. I need everything else to be as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
You can support me by not let things get to me and not let things get too bad, so that I can stay focused and do what I gotta do, to deliver and execute. And if you can help me in that way, you've done a lot.
Have you ever encountered a situation where your transparency backfired?
All the time.
What are some examples of that?
All the time. So look, I would say everything backfires all the time. It's like a personal mindset I have. The real question is if it backfires, is it bad or not? The real question is, when it does, am I still net positive? Right? Because not everything in life is binary. Most things are on a spectrum. So it'll backfire a little bit.
My wife tells me I'm like a sucker.
Right? It's like, if it backfires a little bit, but I still win net positive, then it's like,
It was worth it. It was totally worth it. It was worth it.
totally worth it.
And it was so interesting.
If it backfires so bad that it's not worth it anymore, then that's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What things have backfired?
Do you have a factual example? Can you remember something specifically you shared that really backfire, there's less of it.
And it depends on how we define backfire, right? So like, I would say anytime communicating a reduction in force is always difficult. And like, you're gonna have portion of the team that's gonna rally with you. You're gonna have a portion of the team that's just completely disappointed in all the cast.
Yeah.
And it's my mistake. I'm in charge and I made mistakes and we have to course correct the mistakes. And my mistakes now have impacts on people's lives. And that's never going to go well with 100% of the organization. I don't care who you are. I would not believe that goes well for 100% of the work. I think when you make cultural changes to the business, same impact. Cultural changes could be like we're going from a remote business to an on-site business.
Right.
When leadership changes.
Yep.
These are like situations that happens to every company all the time. And there's always a portion of the company that rallies around. And there's also a portion of the company that like, I don't understand it. And like, I kind of don't like you for a brief period of time. And those situations happen all the time.
Yeah.
The last thing is like, if you're in the CEO spot, you should expect that all the time. And that's what I mean by like backfires. Like, you should just expect it. It's going to happen.
No, I've heard that procrastination is a form of anxiety.
Yeah.
And are anxious about like what happens when the bad news happens or when I do the thing and it doesn't work well. And I'd be curious in your experience. My experience has been, it has almost invariably been easier and less painful to just rip the Band-Aid off and fribbo. Because the longer you wait, the more chance it has that you get mullet. And there's a point where I've seen this happen. To actually, I'd argue almost every failed startup, this is the version of this happens, where they don't ask for help, don't talk about the problems until it's too late, where it's almost irreparable.
Yeah.
And that's the danger of this stuff. And so it's one of those like cover two things. If you're transparent earlier, especially with the hardest stuff, it's easier.
It's kind of like interesting. There's trade-offs to both, I think. Like if you're transparent all the time and you're waving a flag at every moment, and let's say you're right 80% of the time.
Yeah.
That means 20% of the time you're wrong. Right? And like you thought there was an emergency and there isn't. And I think that causes a slightly different problem, but like you might erode focus.
You're right. You're crying wolf all the time. Interesting. Awesome. So your point is early is good, but not so early that you may not be sure it's an issue. Make sure you know it's an issue.
I would say it's more important that everyone understands how you run.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to work on trying to optimize when an issue is truly an issue. I want to optimize on like, hey, you understand that I have an 80% hit rate. Or 50%, that's so easy, right? Like, it's just, yeah, like, look, very selfishly, I'm trying to manage personal mental debt.
Well, yeah,
Look, it's just way easier for me to say, I'm going to fly stuff. I'm going to fly stuff all the time, and you should know my hit rate.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah, so like, such a great 10 times, 2 of those times, I'm sorry. Like, I made a mistake too early, it was not an emergency, and that's okay. And this is actually one of the most important lessons in the leadership team, at least what I believe in, because you want everyone crying wolf. Like, I don't want to know things late. And things by the time you know, theoretically, it's kind of late already. So, like, let's just all communicate our hit rate.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have a bad hit rate. If it's a bad hit rate, we'll improve it. And if it's a good hit rate, let's maintain it. It will never be 100%. Nothing in life is 100%.
Yeah.
This is why, like, I like to think things in spectrums. Like, well, what is the hit rate? Disclose the hit rate. Is the hit rate going up or going down? It's great. This is also why I love sales, because like it's the same thing. Like, well, what is our win rate?
Yeah.
Has it gone down? Has it gone up? What's our cycle? Has it gone up? Has it gone down?
Yeah.
We can manage appropriately, but we gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with hiring. It's the same thing as acknowledging what's going wrong, going right. You can almost apply it to everything that you do in business.
I love that. That's so wonderful, man. Just to say, like, our commitment is to no surprises, but everyone gets to know you to this hit rate. And so, at the very least, you're calibrated. So, what belief that I have? I wanted to like talk about this. Is I think the best organizations, the best ones, are so intentional at providing context and transparency that decisions made even on the fringes of the organization,
Yeah.
you can have high confidence they'll be the right decision. Because everyone understands where you're going, why it matters, your part in that vision. And it's a long way of saying too, though, like, you have to maintain transparency. You have to also kind of like add a little ingredient of empathy and transparency, in that I'm going to give you transparency, but I'm trying to understand from your shoes how you see this transparency, and that as a result, what you are incentivized to do as a result of it.
Correct.
So how do you, what's like your, so like for example, we have, we kind of believe people live in 90 days. We've talked about this much in the past.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for the lesson, by the way. I use that slide every quarter.
Do you really?
Yes.
I really happy to hear that.
That's great. That's kind of awesome. Yeah, we have our 30-day, 60-day, 90-day cadence, and a year, because we say annual plans.
Yeah.
We have meetings every week, so we go bottoms up to the vision. It sounds familiar. And then we have to reverse engineer back.
Oh yeah.
I learned that from me.
So this is a system that now we've called the EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. The book's called Traction by Yuen. It's a really very testable. But I think what I love about it is inherently that operating system has a core tenet of transparency. Like you have a KPI scorecard, I'm sure both campus, that the whole company can see. And I don't know about you, but we have cash balance on there.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, think about that. Like, if you were working at, I don't know, some big Fortune 500 company, well, I guess if you're public, everyone gets cash balance. You know what I mean? You're in some right. Yeah. This universe is where it's a little less, it was a lot obligated. You wouldn't be transparent, but the whole point is everyone knows exactly what's going on and feels as a result they could trust leadership because it's full transparent. OKRs that are quarterly, reouts of how you did and how you didn't do. Another thing that I want to chat about with you, which is, so I had these two negotiation coaches. I did a pod with them, Todd and Derek, and they are hard in the paint on transparency, but they also said what you should think about is what is the most effective way of touch. No, because there are ways you could tell the truth without being so transparent that it compromises you. And so the example is, let's say you are in a M&A conversation,
Sure.
and you have other M&A conversations happening in parallel.
Yeah.
Does it serve you if you say, I'm having other conversations and here's other companies that are doing it? I think the answer is probably no. No, because now they know they're in auction, they could be disincentivized, and I call the corp dev guy over there.
Yeah.
But you could say, hey, look, as an example, I want you to know that everything we talk about is confidential. And so for that reason, whatever conversations I'm having, I'm also be confidential. So I'm not going to tell you about what I'm talking about. I will tell you, though, I didn't have your other conversations. And my commitment to you is, if for whatever reason what we're working on comes at risk, I will transparently tell you what the risk is.
Yeah.
But outside of that, let's just stay focused on what we're talking about. And that's like a different flavor of this. It is transparent.
Yeah.
But it's not compromising myself.
Yeah.
So how do you think about that? Like when you're thinking about sharing stuff, you know, there's one universe where my amazing partner crime, my VP of finance lives. I love her to death. You can't not tell the full truth. It's like her Achilles heel. I love it. Like everyone's like, well, what's happening? What's this good? She's like, hey, I want to let you know I did these things and I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. Here's what I thought. She'd be like, oh wow, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone has to know Liz. I do love her for that, damn it. But it's like, how do you kind of make the judgment call on that? Like, are there effective ways to be transparent and are there ineffective ways of being transparent?
That's a really, really good question. My heuristic framework around judgment calls is I'll have to ask myself, will it deter the business from its focus, the team? Is that a yes? Well, that makes me question a lot about what I share, how I share, when I share it. Interesting. And if the answer is no, sure, easy. There are topics like, hey, we're running out of cash type of topics, or M&A's topics that I think wholeheartedly you should not share until the exercise is complete. Because it deters away from focus.
It tracks from the leave people out, right?
Correct. And for me to essentially build the context that everyone understands will take too long.
Interesting.
Right. I'll give you an example. Like a lot of our team has previously worked on venture. Awesome. So helpful, but not 100%.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who've never worked in venture. And the concept of not being profitable is a really weird concept. Yes, be profitable. Yes, for most. We're speaking for most venture back. Like you raise cash to burn cash, and you work your way towards a break-even mark, and possibly a profitable mark. But you work your way towards it. You're not profitable in that moment.
You're focused at growth, at unnatural growth.
So to build that context for the team means you have to not only explain why you're not profitable, how you intend to be profitable. Do you intend to be profitable? How do you manage your cash? How do you manage your expenditures? And how do you have to reallocate expenditures over time? It's a lot of context to give for someone who might take a little bit longer to truly understand it.
Yeah.
What ultimately happens is that they'll spiral and they won't focus on their work.
Yeah.
So I have a huge bias that you do not share things that are extraordinarily too complex for the majority of the team to understand. And if it causes a disruption, you shouldn't do it. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it ever. It just makes, you just have to look, you have to question a little bit more. When do I do it and how do I do it?
I love that. And the guiding urge again was, if I share this, will it deter my team's ability to continue
Focus.
the focus on it all?
Now, there are times, and we talked about a little earlier, where there's a problem I need to tell the entire company that there's a problem. That's mostly because I need to drive focus in that direction. Right? Like, hey, I'm putting out fires right now. I might need to share with the team that I need to stop putting out fires so I can do what's really, really important. And it might be time now for everyone to know why. And I'm constrained on bandwidth. I only have X amount of hours a day and X amount of hours a week. And like, now everyone needs to know, please help me tackle and block. But until that scenario is true, I don't need to talk. Unless it's really, really important, I'll go back to the same framework. Can it help drive focus?
That's profound.
Well, your only job, as a CEO, you have a lot of jobs. But one of the core jobs is like, one, you're not an IC, especially if you're a CEO of any type of scale larger than like a team of 5, but you're not an IC. Your job is to protect focus. And guess what? Everything erodes focus every single day, unfortunately, right? Like there's something here, there's something there, there's someone who wants promotion, there's a customer who needs something, there's a disruption to the product roadmap, a sales deal that's going slow, there's an HR thing, there's naturally already enough things that are attacking focus. Job is protected.
Yeah.
And if you share something to encourage that focus, awesome. If you share something that intentionally causes focus to like wander, shame on you. You shouldn't do that. We, the team needs focus. And you need to be strong in driving that focus.
It's good stuff there. So I want to talk about that for a lot longer, but I also wanted to gear shift for a second to external transparency. So, and there's two stakeholder groups or whatever we call them that we'll talk about. The first is potential customers. Obviously, I'll go to a study I think is interesting. So Dan Ariely, a behavioral economist for it to be rational. I love him. Yep. You read that book, by the way?
No.
It's honestly, it's all about like the wiring of the human brain and how we do stuff that never makes sense every time.
Yeah, okay.
Like an example is you labor for a month deciding what the exact perfect expensive camera is to buy, and you wait because you want better more information. But if you were to look at the amount of money you would have saved in differences versus the value placed on the photos you would have otherwise taken over a month, you would have spot your RAM camera says buy. Yes. So he has this research that shows that ambiguity in fees and scope increases perceived unfairness by 31%, even when a discount is given. So the long way of saying, if like you're having the client conversation, you say, here is how we price.
Yep.
Full stop. They're going to go, okay, this is fair. And then they're going to negotiate. But if like, well, I kind of see squishy in these things, I'll give you a discount. Well, if they don't believe that the discount from what you're getting is even the real price, they're not gonna buy it. And so it's this interesting thing of like transparent pricing in this example, paired with an explanation of why tends to improve long-term client satisfaction. So I guess, you've talked about, let's pop this up. You talk about this idea of like the money script. Architecture, do you remember this?
Yes, the money guy.
Yeah. What is it? And I guess like, how you teach the transparency around this stuff like works.
So architecture, similar to other services, are contract-based. So you agree to a scope of work when there's a price. Then you have a duration of time to execute against that work. Historically, in architecture, you don't measure the progress between start and finish. At least not based on a monetary value. You measure the work. Right? Like, hey, I'm 25% done. I've delivered all these drawings. I'm 50% done. I've delivered all these drawings. The industry has always done that and can continue to do that really, really well. The problem is if you don't measure it against your financial performance.
Yeah.
The equivalent analogy is like you and me are driving up to Tahoe, and that little gas meter that's in front of that we look at all the time, take that out.
Yeah.
That's how you drive in Tahoe.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty scary. It sounds pretty scary, and you kind of need it. Because like you toggle your speed based on like where the gas meter is. You don't know if you need a pull over or not, if you need gas or not, if you know if you're gonna make it or not. Like there's a lot inherent understanding by visually just looking at a little meter that tells you where your gas is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the money again for architects. And because it's services, the easiest thing you do is measure against your timesheet data.
Follow it.
Right? We can say, what do you want to bill? What's your desirable billing rate? And because you have a desirable billing rate, that correlates to an hour or 30 minutes, where it correlates to selling time. Let's just take that time and the essentially will visualize that Gantt chart for you.
I love that.
So you had 0 when you started a project. You have your total amount of fee over X amount of time. Let's say 2 years, big house remodel, $1 million. X amount of team members working on it. They're all going to accumulate time along the way.
Yeah.
Let's just visualize the chart.
You know what's interesting is that that's like a version of transparency in that you're breaking down your work product by units of time, which like if you really force yourself to be that reductive, that ends all work. All work, actually, let's count, Josie. Maybe all my is actually down to time. Yep, to a certain extent. To a certain extent, someone's had time to do that.
To a certain extent. There are a lot of things that are exponential that compound over.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. But you can kind of redact your way down to the core unit of measure.
Yeah.
And then shrink the time horizon. And then you could measure that way. It's how we internally at Monograph measure sales. Every month you start at 0.
Yeah.
Just kind of how it is. And every month you have a target. Is it $500,000 in bookings or $1 million in bookings, $2 million in bookings. But you start at 0 and every month you restart at 0. And you work. This is why you draw that 45-degree angle. So you start at 0 and you strive for this goalpost.
Yep.
Every day, every week for the next 4 weeks, you know how you're pacing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. So like, when you were thinking about these things, because the reason I like this is oftentimes in conversations like this, the person on the other side of the table makes a cardinal mistake. They don't request transparency. I've seen this over and over again. So, this is a real case. I'm in the middle of talking to this potential supplier.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of the client, and he presented some pricing, and it seemed off to me. But I realized I didn't actually know anything about how his business worked.
Correct.
And so I said, hey, how can I understand how you came to that? And he broke it down, and I was like, and it was the completely reasonable, in fact, even borderline generous offer.
Yeah.
But I didn't know any better. So it's along the saying that if you go to the extent of using transparency as an ally when you're explaining how you're pricing something to your client, instead of them being like, they're like, wow, that makes total sense. Wonderful.
Most of the time, you just have to acknowledge where it is, and people are smart enough to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a common fear for most founders of raising prices on their product.
Yep.
You're worried that the customers might not like it, which is true. It's a real fear.
Yep.
At Monograph, we do it fairly often. And I think we try really hard to communicate. It's like inflation is bad. The cost of providing goods are going up. We are also a business. And we're raising rates not because we want profit poor. We're raising rates just so we can maintain we can maintain the level of service and profitability to you, and that's why we're raising rates. That's great. I hope you understand. If you have more questions, let's dig into it. That's great. But that's the headline is we're raising rates because
but here's why. Here's why. And when people miss the here's why.
Because we're also SaaS and we're also or a product that helps architects be more profitable, it's really important that you don't stop there. At least I tell my team all the time, you do not stop there. And you really encourage that they should raise their prices. Because if they're sharing the exact same thing, inflation doesn't just happen to us. Like it kind of has an impact on everyone. It's all right. The cost of eggs are going up. The cost of milk is going up. The cost of rent, your mortgage rates. Generally speaking, on average, inflation is always going up about 4 to 5% every year. So at minimum, we tell our customers, your rates should at bare minimum increase by 4 to 5%. And even if you do raise your rates by 4 to 5%, you're only staying flat. And that's actually a really hard concept to understand that you raise your rates, but you're still flat. That's a really hard concept for most people to understand, but it is true.
Well, I also feel like back to the original point here, which is when you make decisions that you think could be perceived as in any way negative, profiteering, wherever it is,
Sure.
just give yourself the out of the, and here's why. Like there's unless it really is kind of rough what you're doing and shitty, like there's little downside to doing that.
Well, people might not like your why.
And that's yeah, that's true.
Remember, like I almost always like expecting that like not everyone's gonna like the why.
Yeah.
And it's okay that you don't like the why.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I've done everything I can to tell you the why. And I need to ask, do you understand it? And if you do understand it, you just don't like it, and that's okay. It is the why, and it is happening. And if you really don't like it, we should discuss next steps.
I think it's right now. Can I do your shits? Cool. Okay. So one of the things you do that I love is you also do regular industry benchmarking.
Yes.
I was looking at this. I don't know if this is you yet, but it was like in 2022, only 11% of architecture firms shared compensation or performance benchmarks publicly. And your reports broke that mold. And you started giving firms real context to self-assess, and transparency benchmarks just in general tend to increase trust by 40% in vendor selection. So even step back, I think is genius actually. Maybe this is all play, but I want to hear you say it. It's like your policies, industry benchmarks, because people trust you as a vendor more because you're the one who's saying here's what's going on. Compare us freely across the market. So I mean, but the question was meant to be, why do you do it? Is that the reason?
That is not the reason.
Okay.
But it is a fantastic side effect of the reason. The only reason is you can imagine an industry that historically didn't measure the efficiency of their time for the entire duration of the industry. The natural question is like, Robert, I'd love to raise my rates, but how much? Am I even starting off at the right price point? Yeah. Will it have a big impact? How are my peers pricing theirs? What are their salaries? What are their earning income and profit margins? Yeah. How do I benchmark myself as like a small architectural firm against others? Is that the right benchmark? Am I competitive locally, internationally, nationally? There's a lot of questions that our customer base has all the time.
Yeah. No, honestly, what you're saying applies to every industry. It's very rare to find.
I imagine. I'm not fully articulated for all the other industries, but like I know.
Sorry, it's a long way to say. I know that if it doesn't exist, it's really hard to judge your pricing right if there's no comparison.
You need some type of benchmark. Yeah. So you can measure yourself. It's no different than like progress with the money gang or like internally communicating sale party. Like you need to know as a benchmark, am I doing well or not? And if you can't answer that question, that's a problem. The entire reason for why we released the benchmark report was like, hey, internally we have all this data. We know how our customers are pricing their services. We know which ones are doing incredibly well. We know which ones are not doing incredibly well. We can essentially start to dictate what's the benchmark of a Monograph customer. Why hold that information back? The industry is craving for it. So let's tell that story and release it every year. And the more data we have, the more we can slice it.
That's true too.
Right? Because normally we get a lot of feedback as I really want to know how do I price within California. It's like, great. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough statistical data
just
for the state of California for us to run that report.
Right.
But we will.
Yeah. The basically move in the Bay. Yeah, they ever say Diego.
As long as we have more and more data, we can be statistically relevant in certain regions, in certain parts of the business. Like, is residential doing better than commercial? Is remodels doing better or not? How are our infrastructure, our highways and bridges performing relative to, let's say, national debt and national budgets? Interesting. we don't know yet, but like we will eventually.
Yeah.
And when we do, we'll continue to improve on our benchmark and report. And ideally continue to share.
It's great. I love that. It's a question. Do you have any rituals of clarity that help you to remove surprises with the new company? Like kind of example of this is, whenever we have a big project, I will push teams to do a pre-mortem and a pre-parade, which I'm sure you've heard before.
Mm.
It's the pre-mortem is, if at the ending of this everything went wrong,
Yeah.
what happened? What were the things that like didn't go the way that I was hoping?
Yeah.
And how do we get ahead? And then the punchline is, how do you make sure it doesn't happen?
Right.
In addition to the pre-parade, which is a little more fun, which is if everything goes right, what happened? And I found that those visualization exercises will shed light on some things I didn't know were going on.
Yeah.
But now that light helps us to transparently identify our issues and solve them.
Yeah.
Do you have any rituals similar to that you tend to do, or were you like that?
Yeah, like we do postmortems on a lot of things we do internally. I think we can continue to improve on it. I think the thing that moves the needle the most is probably not that exercise. My general assumption is people lean on positive things versus negative things. So even if you do postmortems, you tend to talk about good things versus bad things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you don't talk about bad things, you're not learning. And there's always bad things.
Yeah.
But it's human nature to not talk about it. So you have to forget it. And forget it, because it was like a hard exercise. I'm so happy it's done. Let's move on, right? Like it was not great, but I don't want to talk about why it wasn't great. And you move on to the next project. That is probably the norm for not just Monograph, but probably society as a whole. So you have to include mechanics around encouraging to pull out what can we work on. And I think so far what's worked best for me is I still do one-on-ones with every team member across the business. Yeah.
Well, what frequency?
Not very frequent anymore.
It's kind of
Yeah. But in those one-on-ones, it's a lot easier to create a safe spot to talk about things that are bothering you in that work. And like, look, like most of the times, like, hey, like I want to celebrate, but we're celebrating, it's just you and me. Ain't worth celebrating, let's celebrate with the team. We're your one-on-one. I want to hear all the dirt. All the dirt.
Yeah. What's really going on?
Yeah. Tell me the things that you're upset about. Tell me the things that are not going well. Tell me the things that you wish could have gone well. That gives me a little bit more data point to essentially steer the conversations when in a team meeting doing a postmortem.
Yeah.
So I can encourage, like, hey, like, what about this? Can we sit here for a little bit?
Yeah.
And talk about it? I know it's a discomforting conversation.
Yeah.
But it's only going to last 10 minutes.
Okay, so for final gear shift, and I want to make sure we hit, because I know I'm looking at the clock here, is funders.
Sure.
So my opinion is you're a fundraising beast, and you have
that.
you have a flavor of fundraising. How does it? Where I think a big part of that is transparency, and look, here's I think the trick I have personally fallen into. I've seen other founder friends fall into, which is you are coached to take all the numbers and then look at the ones that are up into the right and try to tell that story, and to, within the bounds of telling the truth, find the way to make it the best possible version of the story.
Yeah.
But I also think that has some potentially tough downsides, which is if you don't get your skeletons out of the closet kind of soon, two things happen. One, they may not trust you as much because you're not telling me that. And then second is when they find it out later in the process, even though you invested all this time with them, they bail.
Yeah.
So how do you, like, I'd love to hear it at a time when radical transparency helped you respond.
Well, as you know, it's just part me. It has us. It's them all. So like the look, like I think I lean on trust right out. I think there's a question that a lot of people ask, like, do you trust people right from the beginning, or is trust earned?
Yeah.
I think most people kind of fall in one or the other camp. I typically trust people right from the beginning. And I expect that on the receiving end, especially someone who's going to invest in the business and be my partner along the way. And the partnership's going to be a really long time. So it's really easy for me to just say that to the investor.
Yep.
It's like, hey, dude, this is how I am. It's really hard to change me. And I understand that part of investing is you're investing in business, but you also understand that you're investing in me.
Yeah.
And if you and me don't match, that's okay. But you should probably also not invest in the business. So like let's just get that, like, that's first meeting.
Really?
Let's just set that. Just say it like that. And like if you do not agree with me, let's just talk about it right now, because let's save each other some time.
Wow.
Right? If on the first meeting you want to look at metrics, it's already gonna go bad. It's already go bad.
Why is that?
Because then you're gonna make your entire investment thesis on the metrics.
Right. Not for visual where we're going.
On our first meeting, you don't want to get to know who I am.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like, would you marry someone that way?
Yeah. That's what's so interesting is I feel like one of the undercurrent themes of this entire conversation, Brahmer, has been like, it can feel so scary to be transparent. But when you do it, it not only establishes huge amounts of trust up front, makes life easier, but it also, if you don't do it, all the inverse might be true. Everything might be harder.
Yep.
Which is so interesting. So now the same kind of fundraising, I mean, that's a scary conversation to have. But you're straight up saying, look, here's the situation, and you're also removing the neediness. And by the way, if this worked, this totally okay. Let's just figure it out now.
Remember, everyone has a hit rate.
Yeah.
There's no way it will ever be 100%.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't want it to be 0.
That's good.
You know, well, it's okay. Like that. I'm also trying to protect time, both yours and mine.
Yeah.
If we know on the first meeting, we can both walk away as friends.
Yeah.
And just know that like we both respect each other, or like I'm not gonna take your money, you're not gonna invest in me, and that's totally okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'd be like, how can I help you? I was like, Ash, you prefer that you don't.
You know, it's
okay.
Probably because of your encouragement and coaching inside this last fundraise, I was respectful, but really clear about that, up and honest. And there was one call, we got 10 minutes into it, and I was with my friend Young, who was covering fractional CFO at the time. We should be over. And I said, hey, look, I at risk of being really direct here, I think we should just call this now. I know it's been 10 minutes of hearing what you guys are interested in, what your buy box is. We're not going to get there. I'd love to chat with you some point in the future, maybe, if it makes sense, but let's just call this, it'll maybe with 20 minutes back.
Yeah.
And the guy on the other end of it, I don't think he'd ever experienced that before. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And there's something about, if you have the confidence to be transparent of the odds, it also means you have the confidence in believing that you will figure it out no matter what.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a missing part of the equation. What should give you confidence as a founder to do this is that you will figure it out. And so just if your goal then is you protect time and find the investor that is the right one,
yeah,
the most efficient way to do that is transparency.
There's an advice I was given that still sticks with me till today. As the founder who's going through a fundraising exercise, your job is to not sell the business. Your job is to find an investor who's already sold that hasn't discovered you yet.
That's good.
There's a really big difference.
Very good.
Because everyone that you're trying to pitch to, your likelihood of getting no is actually really high. But someone who already believes in this model, in this business, in this industry, and they're waiting for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
That's a match.
Yeah. I love it.
That's great. And your job as a CEO is to find that person.
Yes. As fast as possible.
As fast as possible.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
The other saying that I always like to give is, it depends on company stage, but like when you're early, I'm looking for investors. I'm not looking for people to day trade my business. And if you're going to behave like you're going to day trade my business, it's not for a fit. What does that mean, day trade the business? They want to know every single data point right out in the beginning, and they're trying to make an assessment if the business is an investable business for a short period of time. You try to day trade me. Don't day trade me.
I like that.
We're just not mature though. You can day trade me later.
Yeah.
All fine.
Yeah. Not at this scale.
Not at the scale.
Yeah.
Like, I actually need someone who's going to be a true investor, and let me define for you if you don't understand what an investor is. For me, respectfully, right? Like, for me, respectfully, is like, I'm looking for a partner.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a partner that will not only be a cheerleader on the good days, because that's easy.
Yeah.
I'm looking for someone that helped me through the very darkest days. I need to understand that you're not incentivized because of the growth rate that the business has, which is amazing, but like, let's put that aside. And that you're going to have my back.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. And if you check these boxes, then like, let's continue to dig in. If you don't, like I said, it's totally okay. right now she's a right fit, not a right fit. Because you have a thesis, and you're trying to put me into your thesis, and I have a thesis, and I'm trying to put you in the thesis. For this to work, it both has to check.
Yep, that's right. But this has been so good, man. Thank you, truly. This is so fun. Last question for you.
Okay.
If there were one thing you wish someone had told you early in your career about radical transparency, what do you wish it would have been?
I think as a first-time founder, I'm still learning how to do it my way. And over the years, I've been doing it better and faster. If I were to give myself that same advice, is believe in yourself more and do it faster. Remove all the gremlins that tell you not to. Because like, even though I do it, like obviously it's so scary. Let's not go through this entire podcast and just say like it's not scary. No, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. But you have nothing to lose. You literally have nothing to lose. Like what? So people don't align with you. It's okay. Right? Like you don't hit a certain metric. That's okay.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose.
Yeah. Yep. It's great. Awesome. Okay. Last was Robert. If people want to find you, how do they find you?
Just email me.
Okay, we'll put it in the comments to this.
Yeah, just email me. I'm not on X or Twitter. Like email is the best format.
Okay. So awesome. Thank you, man, for appreciating it.